All right, stop scrolling. I need you to look at these two watches right now, side by side. Same bezel, same dial, same bracelet, and I'm telling you right now, one of these is a $12,000 Rolex GMT Master II, and one of them is a fake. And I'm not talking about some cheap knockoff you'd find at a gas station. I'm talking about a 2026 super clone, the kind of rep that's fooling jewelers, fooling enthusiasts, and based on what happened in this video, nearly fooling me. So here's the question I want you to answer before the end of this video. Which one is real? Because I tested 10 complete beginners with zero watch knowledge, put these two on the table, gave them 5 minutes, and what happened next genuinely shocked me. Here's why you need to watch this whole thing. We're in 2026. The clone game has leveled up in ways nobody's ready to talk about honestly. The old tricks, the date magnification, the crown logo engraving, the weight test, those used to be the holy grail of fake detection. Guess what? The super clone manufacturers figured that out. They patched every single one. So what I'm doing in this video is running the old detection methods, one by one, against the latest Gen Super Clone GMT Master II, and I'm doing it with beginners so you can see exactly what a regular person catches and what they completely miss. This isn't theory. This is a live test, and some of the results, honestly embarrassing for the experts, so let's set the scene. I've got two GMT Master IIs on the table. The real one I borrowed from a collector friend, it's a 2023 ref, 126,710 BLNR, the Batman full set keeping receipt. The clone was sourced by a guy in our community who's been deep in the rep space for a couple years. He paid around $450 for it. I'm not going to tell you where he got it because that's not the point of this video. The point is what happens when I put these in front of people who have never held a Rolex in their life. First person walks in. College kid, 22 years old, studies finance. I tell him, one is real, one is fake. You've got 5 minutes, pick it up, flip it over, do whatever you want. He picks up both, feels the weight, and here's where it gets crazy. He immediately points to the real one and goes, this feels heavier, so this one's real. Boom, correct. First guy cold, no research, got it right on weight alone. That's impressive. But weight is old school detection 101, right? So I wasn't that shaken. Then I brought in the next person. Middle-aged woman, works in retail, never owned a luxury watch in her life. She picks them both up, ignores the weight completely, and instead goes straight to the dial. She's squinting at the text around the dial and she goes, this one's font looks a little off. She was pointing at the clone. I nearly dropped my coffee. She couldn't explain it, she just felt it. That's the thing about the human eye, it picks up on micro imperfections even when the brain can't verbalize it. But here's the twist. 4 of my other testers made the same observation about the wrong watch. They thought the real Rolex's font was the fake one because the real one has such clean, fine printing that it almost looks too perfect. Wrap your head around that. Now let's talk about the Cyclops lens, the date magnification. For years, and I mean years, this was the #1 tell. Real Rolex, 2.5x magnification, crisp date, perfectly centered. Fake, blurry, off-center, weak magnification. That used to be game over for clones. But I didn't expect this at all. The 2026 super clone I'm testing has legitimately improved Cyclops magnification. It's not 2.5x, it's maybe 2x, but you'd have to be measuring it to know. 5 out of 10 beginners could not tell the difference on the Cyclops alone. 0 couldn't distinguish. That's a problem. That's a big problem. But okay, the movement. This is the real battleground, right? Flip the watch over. If it has a display caseback, you can see the rotor. But here's the thing. The GMT Master II has a solid caseback. You can't see the movement unless you crack it open. And most beginners don't know that. They kept looking for a display window and got confused when they couldn't find one. I did crack the real one open just to show the difference in the video. The Rolex 3285 movement is an absolute masterpiece. The clone uses an Asian-made movement that looks decent in photos, but under a loupe it's a completely different world. The finishing, the beveling, the engravings on the bridges, it's night and day if you know what you're looking at. But if you don't, you're lost. And this is where everything broke down. I brought in someone I thought would destroy this test, a guy who's been collecting watches for 3 years, follows every YouTube watch channel, knows his stuff. He was cocky walking in. Picked up both watches, did the weight test, checked the Cyclops, ran his thumb across the bezel teeth, checked the crown logo, everything right. Took him 4 minutes. He pointed to the clone and said, this is the real one. Dead wrong. 3 years of watch knowledge, hundreds of hours of content consumed, and the 2026 super clone fooled him completely. I didn't plan for that. That was a genuine gut punch moment. So where does that leave us? Here's my honest take after running this whole experiment. The old 5-point checklist for spotting a fake Rolex. It's outdated. It's not useless, but it's not enough anymore. The super clones have specifically targeted those checkpoints. What still works? And what beginners accidentally used without knowing it is gut feel on the dial text spacing, the way the hands catch light and the bracelet clasp feel. That last one is huge. The oyster lock clasp on the real Rolex has a snap and a precision to it that the clone just can't replicate. Every single beginner who played with the clasp long enough ended up picking the right watch. The clasp is still the killer. What this test proves is that in 2026, buying a used Rolex without authentication is genuinely risky, not because you're dumb, but because these super clones are specifically engineered to beat your defenses. If you're buying gray market, always get a watchmaker to open the case back and look at the movement. That's your safest move. And look, I'll be doing more of these tests. Next one is the Submariner versus the newest Gen VSF clone, and I've already got something lined up that's going to break people's brains. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it. This is Tick V's TOCK, and you just learned something the gray market doesn't want you to know.